Hello and welcome. This is Tanya Brown with Lauren St. Julian, and today I want to talk to you about a name. What is in a name? So many people who email me or message me get confused because they're like, "Hi, Lauren. Who's Lauren?" Okay, just to kind of give you clarity. Again, this is Tanya Brown. I'm with Lauren St. Julian. I'm a psychic, clairvoyant, and intuitive business coach. Lauren St. Julian is the name of my grandmother. One of my earliest memories was of my being on my little twin bed in my room and feeling a presence in the room. And the minute I started to get afraid, I heard, "It's okay, I'm your grandmother." Then when I opened my eyes, because I was in that space between being asleep and awake, but not quite awake, and when I opened my eyes, I noticed two things. One, nobody was there. And two, the words were said in my head, not aloud. So as a child, I didn't question this. I didn't go screaming to my parents that I'm hearing voices. I just went downstairs and had them make me breakfast. I remember at the time that growing up, our house was a two-family home, and the apartment that we rented was on the second floor, and my bedroom was on the third floor. And at this point, I had my own bedroom because I was the youngest, still am. And again, the thing that was, I didn't realize until I embraced my psychic gift, I didn't remember these things. And that's the interesting thing. Children, certain memories that I had as a child all came flooding back to me as an adult once I embraced my gift because actually, I don't know why specifically, but the interesting thing was I never questioned these things. I thought they were strange. One of the things growing up, I thought it was normal for children or people to have voices in their heads. I always had voices in my head. Um, and my voices were more of a parental uh, tone as opposed to a make believe friend. It was always a "don't cross the street, be careful, look to your right." It was very instrumental in guiding, and I didn't realize that this was my grandmother speaking to me. Um, and I call them my psychic posse because it's a collective group of voices that I have in my head that speak as one. There's one voice that sometimes is distinctly more uh, bold, shall we say. I remember I was doing a reading with a client who was in the UK, and she started to get really loud in my head. And I had to stop the client because I was giving the client information, but then he was talking, and I had to stop him. I said, "I'm sorry, she wants me to get this point out." And it was just, she would get louder. And I say she because that in that instance, it was a loud woman who would, West Indian, she's correcting me, a loud West Indian woman who would get the get her voice, the accelerate the octave of her voice to get my attention. And they still do that. I mean, I was in DSW once, and you know when you go shopping for shoes and you think, "Oh, I should go back and get another pair in the same size, same color sometimes." And there was a comfy pair of shoes, and I'm like, "I need to do that." And I was in DSW, and I'll never forget. I don't get on the escalator. No, it's turn around. It's right behind you. Turn around. So again, it's having voices in your head. I always assumed that this was a normal course of growing up. Had no idea that not everybody has voices in their head, and it your friends that you have that support you and love you have a tendency to accept who you are. And my friends never questioned me if I messaged them and said, "Well, why am I getting marriage around you?" "Oh, yeah, it's probably because I'm thinking of me and Steve. Where's this relationship going? Are we getting married?" Like, they never questioned that. So I always thought that this was normal. Everybody gets like this. I even thought that this was lucky. I have dreams that come true. I still have dreams that come true. I even have dreams that have a physical feeling in it. I mean, I had a dream with a gentleman holding my hand, and I woke up still feeling like my hand was being held to the point that I couldn't even brush my teeth with that hand. I had to brush it with the other hand that I don't normally do because I'm not ambidextrous. But yeah, it's a case of me naming my business after my grandmother. And I remember I always went to psychics for years. I just love the spiritual world. I find it fascinating. I am grateful to have a gift, to be able to explore it. But before I realized I had one, every psychic would say to me, "The spirit of your grandmother is watching over you." And it got to a point where I literally thought that this was part of a spiel, a script. Every psychic will say that. And I didn't realize until a certain point, I'm like, yeah, they don't. They don't say that to everybody. After talking to my friends, I'm like, yeah, they didn't say that to you too. So that just goes back to the reason why my business is called Lauren St. Julian, because this is honoring my grandmother, who's my spirit guide, who leads up my psychic posse, a group of collective spiritual beings that guide me and give me information that help my clients by sharing with them what I know, what I see, what I hear, because I come into this, I have no idea what I'm going to get. Honestly, I don't have expectations. It's literally like it's like a performer. You get the what do you call it? The anxiety and the nervousness because you never know if they're going to show up. Until they do. I remember one client. It was a gentleman, and he gave me a list of things he wanted to talk about, and last thing on the list was love life. So I'm reading the list before I start to tap in. And when I say tap in, I do a level of meditation and I connect on the person that I'm trying to read. So I just need their name, their nickname. I don't need your date of birth. People give me their date of birth. I'm not an astrologist, which I should start looking into astrology because that does give me more insight. But that's not my forte. Give me a nickname, give me a first name, and I will just focus on that name and ask questions. Because people will say, "What do you get from me?" I don't automatically get a full picture or a life that shows up in my head. I will. I have to ask questions like everybody else. So when people will say, "Oh, what do you get from me?" Sometimes I'll get something, and other times I have to literally ask questions before I get on the phone or Skype so I can give them some information to validate that I'm not making this stuff up. And just going back to the gentleman that I was talking about, the last thing on his list was love life. So when I'm reading the list, I just heard he doesn't want to talk about those things. I'm like, okay, what does he want to talk about? They said he wants to talk about his love life. And again, it's just a voice in my head, literally like this. And I said, okay, what's going on with his love life? He just broke up with somebody, but it's not over. Okay, that sounds incredibly cryptic to me. And I just ripped the band-aid off, and that was the first thing I led with because I didn't really want to talk about that, but I just thought, go with the thing I don't want to talk about, get it over with. And I said, you just broke up with someone, but it's not over? He goes, yeah, we're still living together. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And it's interesting because I led with that and I gave him information that I couldn't possibly know. You could hear the exhale and even said, and a lot of people say this to me, they were unsure about doing this. They thought that this was a bunch of malarkey. Are they wasting their money? They're uncertain. And the minute I give them something I couldn't possibly know, that's when they are relieved that they didn't make a mistake. They didn't waste their money. Okay. And then the floodgates open up on either end. And they start asking specific questions. And I start tapping into what I'm receiving for that question. There was one instance, and this was actually the funniest thing. for me specifically. I was meeting the client, and as I'm walking to the destination, this spirit just kind of showed up. He showed me who he was, he showed me the things in his life. He didn't really want to say anything. He literally just pulled up a chair to be there. He was watching a show. He was watching this transpire. So again, this is all the way. This is how it works. Sorry, my hair looks horrible. This is how this works for me, and I'm just sharing with you how I connect and how I receive information. And if you're looking to get clarity and information on what's going on in your life and in your business, click the link below and schedule a reading. I would be happy to do so. I look forward to speaking to you. And again, it's like I never know what I'm going to get. Chances are it's best that you come with questions. I will bring something to the table because it's going to be like 15 minutes of me talking and telling you what I receive prior to us getting on the phone or getting on Skype or Facebook Live or what have you. But it's me, 15 minutes of me just talking, and then after that's over, then it's you asking me questions and me connecting with what they're giving me in regards to your questions. So it's fun, it's really enjoyable, and it it is like going to a reception and not knowing any of the people sitting at your table, and when it's over, you are just connected, happy, you're hugging and saying goodbye and saying when you're going to connect again. I mean, I have clients that come every month or call me every month. So, and I'm not saying that that's the case for you, but depending upon what your needs are and what your support is, I mean, I have 90-day mentoring programs for those people who are looking to start their own businesses. We speak once a week. You get unlimited emails, and I guide you with what I see happening in your life and your business. And also, I give you a plan of action. That's the thing that I always didn't like about going to retreats or any motivational events, because after it's over, after all the rah-rah and cheering is over, then you're left to your defenses. And there is like never a what's next. The person tells you to go from A to Z. They never give you a map or tell you what to do to keep yourself motivated and engaged and enthused. And that's the thing. That's what I do for my clients. I keep them on the path by giving them clarity on what I see happening and what I see going forward. And by them giving them an action plan that after they get off the phone, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to go. So again, this is Tanya Brown with Lauren St. Julian, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you. And click the link below and schedule a reading. Talk to you soon.